Hey everyone, it's Lindy, and thank you so much for joining me today here at Rainbow Body, my YouTube channel. And today we are going to talk about empaths and things that you should know about empaths that empaths probably won't tell you. And it's been a while since I've made an empath video, a very long time. So I made another empath video. It's called Empath Empowerment, and feel free to go check that one out as well if you want some tips and tricks as an empath to empower you. But today we are just going to talk about things that you should know about empaths that may not be so obvious, okay? And this video is really going to give empaths insight, really going to help people that live with empaths or are in a relationship with an empath. This is kind of going to help those people as well to better understand empaths. So let's get into it. Now I came up with 7 things you should know about empaths. And the first one is, number 1, is that every empath has a tendency to attract energy vampires, okay? Energy vampires are people who cannot, or like maybe incapable, not like all the time, but maybe just very used to getting energy from others, okay? And in turn, the energy, well, the one that is giving the energy to the energy vampire is losing their power, losing their energy, and then the energy vampire is like gaining all of the energy for their own use, right? And people like empaths who generate their own energy, they can be prone to maybe attract energy vampiric people. So these are like toxic people, difficult people, people with personality disorders, okay? So this is going to be even like sociopaths and psychopaths, narcissists, or just have tendencies like that. Difficult people, we'll just put them under the umbrella of difficult people. Empaths attract these types of people. And there are several reasons why we can attract these types. They are actually quite literally the opposite of an empath, right? They are quite opposite as far as like the whole spectrum goes. Because empaths, a lot of these difficult people lack empathy, and empaths, of course, have an extreme amount of empathy. Empaths feel everything, and they feel everything very deeply. They can feel the collective conscious of the world, can also pick up energies and emotions and even thought waves outside of themselves. So empaths are quite literally the most empathetic people on the planet because they feel other people's emotions as their own. That's how deeply empaths feel. So, empaths then can have a tendency to be people pleasers, at least maybe on their earlier journey, because empaths are, of course, born this way, okay? That is what it means to be an empath. It means that you were born with this sensitivity. You've had it your whole life, right? And so you can become more empathic as your life goes on, but only empaths are actually born this way. So, empaths can have a tendency earlier on to be quite the people pleasers, just very eager to please, because if they upset people, they will be able to feel that upset. So this can be, well, sometimes it can actually be dangerous to be this way with the wrong kind of people. Difficult people, mostly like narcissists and those types of people, they will essentially take advantage of the situation and try to take the empath's power away, okay? And also too, empaths, like, usually we are very good at reading people, so usually we will have some kind of inclination that there's something off about this person when we first meet them, or like a bad situation or something. We'll have like an intuition about that because we are the most intuitive people on the planet. So we'll have an intuition about that, but like, we won't always follow through or listen and trust our intuition. And the reason for this is because we like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So we'll maybe get a bad feeling about someone, but we'll just be like, no, that's silly. You know, like, I need to get to know this person, and we'll misperceive our intuition as being judgmental. So that's why empaths can kind of get sucked into this dynamic with people, or attract just toxic people that we don't do very well with because of this, because we don't listen to our intuition and give people the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes we do it over and over and over with the same person. So it's really important then, as an empath, to learn to trust your own intuition. Whatever signs you're picking up, whether it be for a person, place, or a thing. We really have to learn to trust our intuition because it is always right, okay? And I will give you like a personal example of this. I have so many examples, but for example, I went into this doctor's office because they needed my help with something I provide. I have a business where I provide a service to doctors. And so they needed my help. And the very first time I spoke with the doctor on the phone, I thought it was kind of odd because he was just like getting into all this drama about the old person they had that was helping them, and just like calling her fat and saying these like really weird, mean things. And it's like, why would I care about that, right? So I thought that was weird. I went up to their office. The minute I walked into their office, it was very, very cluttered. It was like a paper hoarding office where they just had like years and years of files and papers like everywhere. So I started to get anxiety from that, and I like had to leave a couple times while I was up at their office because I got so much anxiety being there. But I just gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I thought since I was going to be able to work at a distance, and most of the work I would be doing for them would be on the computer, and we would mostly be emailing and talking on the phone and not really seeing each other in person very often, that I would be able to handle this difficult office, you know. And then it turned out that someone at the office, the owner, treated me very, very poorly, and like had like this rage session where they just like raged out over the phone on me and was yelling, and it was like a really horrible situation. And then I figured out that it really wasn't even like worth going to all the trouble just like for the money or whatever. And I'm like, man, I should have listened to my own intuition about that, because it was spot on when I very first met these people. So it's really important that we learn to trust our intuition and to listen to that. And that can help us avoid a lot of unnecessary suffering and frustration and upset if we just listen to the voice in the first place, right? But it actually, the positive side of being involved with difficult people for empaths is that they really actually teach you through like what you don't want to happen. They teach you to trust your intuition. They show you that your intuition is spot on, and they teach you to stick up for yourself and to set boundaries with people, which is very, very important for empaths to learn in their life at some point. It's very important that they learn to trust their intuition and to set healthy boundaries with people, and also stick up for themselves and just really take care of themselves. Empaths have to take care of themselves a little bit more than the average person because we are so sensitive. So in a way, these difficult, toxic people really help us learn how to do that, right? So that is the upside. But the more we trust our intuition and learn how to set healthy boundaries with people and learn how to handle these difficult people, the better off we're going to be. And the more our sensitivity is going to be a gift and really help us get through life and guide us through life, right? And the last thing that these people teach us is how to keep our power and stay empowered and not give our power to others, not give our power and our energy to others, right? Because that can be very challenging with difficult people. They really want to suck your energy and put you in the defense. So empaths learn how to keep their energy and not give it away to other people. So those are the upsides, and I thought that was an important one to mention. So number 2 is if you lie to them or try to act like everything's okay when it's not, an empath will know, okay? They, because they're really, really good at sensing dishonesty and sensing when something is off, or when people are trying to hide behind a mask or put a wall up. Empaths can see right through that, and they don't like dishonesty. They don't care for dishonesty, and they really do perceive these people as fake. Okay, so they don't like fake people, and of course, yes, I told you, we're good at giving people the benefit of the doubt, but empaths will know when you're being dishonest, and they may not, it may not be obvious to you that they know you're lying, but believe me, if you're lying to an empath, they will know on some level that you are being dishonest. And it's just a huge turnoff for empaths when we're lied to. It's a huge turnoff. And also, you may find that your normal tricks and walls you put up do not work with empaths. Because empaths, unlike a lot of people, actually most people, they can see through your little tricks and manipulations you're trying. So empaths usually won't play along with that game, and they won't give you what you want, and this can make the manipulator or the dishonest person very uncomfortable and feel threatened, because they are actually used to people just going along with it, just totally going along with it and getting what they want. But empaths don't want to play that game with people. And so it can kind of be threatening to some people to be around empaths because of this, because we see through we see through people for who they really are. And that can be very threatening to someone who has put a lot of time and energy into putting on a disguise to the world. That can be very threatening. So number 3 is you should actually listen to empaths when they give their opinion or give you advice on someone new in your life. So let's say you got a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend, or a new friend has come around in your circle of friends, or you are working with new people. You should really listen to and trust the opinion of an empath, because they're usually always right about someone. Sometimes it doesn't always make sense. You know why? Like, sometimes we might sense that something is off about someone, you know, and we can't really put our finger on exactly like what the deal is, but we can sense something is off. So that's why it's just important to trust that with your empath friends, family, you know, loved ones. It's really important to trust that, because there usually is a reason for it. They might not even be able to explain it wholeheartedly, but like, it would probably save you a lot of trouble if you just listen to your empath people in your life. Number 4 is empaths typically do not like confrontation. Okay. And this is because if you're confronting them, or an empath needs to confront you and talk to you about something that is more serious, that's kind of harder to talk about, they might like try to avoid doing this or avoid confrontation, because it gets really uncomfortable for empaths, because it can be very overwhelming, because they are not just dealing with their emotions and thoughts and feelings about the situation, but they know that by bringing A, B, or C up to you, it might trigger you to get upset. And then the empath will feel your upset on top of their own emotions. So it can be very overwhelming for us. So what I recommend to empaths to get a little bit better at confrontation is just learn to put up like an energetic bubble that protects you from getting a whole bunch of unnecessary negative energy that you don't want from others. So if you know you're going to be in a situation that's going to be confrontational, and you might have to deal with other people being upset or, you know, acting in an unfavorable way, then it's a really good time to ground yourself, get centered, and really put that energetic bubble up. Usually visualizing this, like visualizing it going all the way up through your chakras and out, and creating this like protection bubble around you. And then saying a mantra 3 times, basically saying, you know, like, this bubble will protect me from receiving any unnecessary energy. And you just say that 3 times, and then the intention along with the visualization will really help to protect you from just like not taking on us unnecessary negative things outside of yourself, if you've already got your own emotions and stuff to deal with, right? So I don't recommend that people do that like all the time, but it's just like a good rule of thumb to maybe do that if you have to be in a toxic or unfavorable situation that you don't enjoy, or you have to deal with people that are difficult, or like you have a confrontation going on. Okay, let's move on. So number 5 is our sensitivity is our strength. Okay, it is not our weakness. It is our strength. And we are really showing people that sensitivity is a good thing, okay? And people, we are not too sensitive. I know that they say empaths are highly sensitive and we're very sensitive people, but we're not too sensitive. The world outside is not sensitive enough, okay? And that is the truth. And the more you work on really grounding yourself as an empath, centering yourself, and just spending time in quiet and giving yourself alone time to really get familiar with your own energy, the more you do all these things, the more it will become a strength for you, okay? To where I personally, there was a time where I could not decipher the difference between my own emotions and energies and other people's. And it was quite confusing, and it's very hard for me to it was very difficult for me to deal with in my earlier journey as an empath, okay? And so I did a lot of research and have, just learned a lot of things to help ground me, center me, and also get to know my energy. So then I know when I'm picking up something outside of myself. I know it's not mine, okay? So that is really how it becomes a strength. And then you can actually become extremely intuitive and insightful because of this sensitivity. Okay, so it just takes some practice and some working on yourself and your self-care to get there. But if you are an empath, you can develop this sensitivity to where it is such a strength, and you can use it to help yourself and many others. So number 6 is empaths act as a mirror for people, okay? They have this way of making people kind of look at themselves like they're holding a mirror up to themselves. Now, this goes for a lot of things, a lot of behaviors and things, energies, but this especially can go for negative energy if people are just acting in a very unfavorable way. Empaths have this way of dealing with it where it kind of just puts it back on the other person. I personally have gotten really good at not playing along into this defensive game where people are treating me really poorly, and so then I reflect that back. Now, if people don't stop and they keep pushing me, I may just completely cut them out, or I'm not going to engage in that kind of behavior. And then by not engaging, it has a way of just letting people sit with their mean behavior and their mean words, because you're not taking that on. So empaths are just really good at acting as a mirror, and of course this can be very uncomfortable for some people. And that's why we may not get along with everyone or certain people, because we kind of, if you're in an empath's presence, you have a tendency to kind of just see your shadow side and see these things that you might not want to look at. So it's easier to ignore them, but empaths have a tendency to bring this stuff out in people. So, and number 7, the last one, is actually something that my husband wanted you guys to know. So number 7 is just living with an empath can take some getting used to. And I'm not offended at all by him saying this, because I know it's actually really true. He said it takes some getting used to living with an empath, or just being in a very close relationship with an empath. And the reason it takes some getting used to, and it can be tricky sometimes, is because sometimes empaths are, picking up energies and emotions and things like that from outside sources, and they're picking that up, and then the person they're living with will think that it's something they did and get it confused and take it personally, think it's something that they did that is causing the empath in their life to feel upset or just uneasy and stuff. And so it really does take some getting used to. You have to realize that it's not always something, you may not have anything to do with it, okay? And that's also too why it's so important for empaths to learn their own energy, because they actually can mistransfer energy. So, like, I used to do this. I don't really do this very often anymore, or if I do, I, like, catch myself really quick. But I used to, like, get in arguments or fights with people, like, especially my husband, because I was feeling, like, anger or frustration or fear or something that I picked up from another source outside of myself. And then I was like acting all of this stuff out and would just like somehow come up and like rationalize it in my mind that it was something that was happening in my life. But in fact, it was happening not in my life, like outside of that. And so that's why it's so important to get to know your own energy, because the more you do this, and really that can just be like in a meditation, just sitting here and getting in that meditative state and feeling your own energy, because then you know when it's like an outside force, and it can actually be so insightful to like your environment wherever you're at, because you will pick up on a lot of things that no one else would normally pick up on about someone. Like I totally can detect when people are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, but it's not like apparent, like obvious, but I just start feeling drunk and then look around and I'm like, oh, that person is really intoxicated, even though it's like not apparent. They're not like stumbling and falling down and slurring their words, but that person is pretty intoxicated, you know? So it can be like very, very insightful and helpful. But for the people in our lives, it takes some getting used to. And I just wanted people to know that, because it's not all about you or anything you've done wrong. It's just that we pick up everything, and we have felt like every emotion that you can possibly feel. And yeah. So we're also very extremely loving and open people, and extremely forgiving and understanding, because we have felt all these things outside of our own experience. So, I think I pretty much covered it, plus the video is starting to get pretty long, so I'll let you guys go for now. But please comment with anything you would like to discuss on the topic of empaths. Maybe discuss if you knew these things, or if this video was helpful. If it was super helpful for you, or if you really enjoyed watching, please give it a thumbs up, like the video, and if you haven't subscribed, of course, please subscribe to the channel if you really enjoyed this video. I have lots of other content on here about all kinds of spiritual and metaphysical topics, so go check some other ones out. Go check the other empath video out if you want to know more tips and tricks on how to navigate through life as an empath. Sending you guys so much love, and I will see you very soon. May the force be with you. Bye, y'all.